Evening. My name is Debbie Jacobs, and I thought I would do a video. I put this video on YouTube because I want to express my thoughts, um, and hopefully this resonates with someone because it's quite important. Basically, my story is that I healed myself from depression, anxiety, and bipolar by accomplishing positive thoughts, positive effective coping skills, and healthy self-esteem, my authentic self. And that's what it takes to operate uh, you know um, as we are meant to be. But what happens is we end up in our hurt version of self with negative thoughts, negative, ineffective coping skills, and low self esteem. And, that, can lead to mental illness. So your ego self, is your negative thoughts, negative, ineffective coping skills, and low self esteem. And my ego self was depression, anxiety, and bipolar. That developed out of my childhood, and the hurt that I experienced during the developmental phase of the person that I was meant to be. So basically, in my own household, and I can speak for myself, I literally dealt with a lot of abuse that was detrimental to the development of my person, of my being, of Debbie Jacobs. And I ended up in depression, anxiety, and bipolar. And the problem with that was not my dad. The problem was that my dad had unhealed pain, negative thoughts, negative, ineffective coping skills, and low self esteem. And through my healing process, and accomplishing positive thoughts and healthy self esteem, I was able to accomplish and heal myself from the hurt and the damage, basically by, getting rid of my flaws and learning new ways of being, new ways of handling situations. So I created a positive outcome and not a negative outcome. And, it's our negative thoughts that create negative outcomes with our negative, ineffective coping skills. And it's, with our positive thoughts that we create positive outcomes with positive, effective coping skills. So, I don't want to get in a fight with you, but I do want to, resolve the problem effectively. Fighting is negative, problem solving, conflict resolution is positive, and it's influenced by my thoughts. So basically, let me tell you something. So now I'm up and I'm awake, and I am the only person who's a positive thinker. That's it has kind of been the twilight zone for me, because I am around all negative thinkers, all people in their ego, and everybody is in their ego, whether they're unconscious or mentally ill. And people are actually like, acting different. Nobody is, interested in what I'm saying, and my positive thoughts and my healthy self esteem. But we need to get positive thoughts into the heads of children. And that cannot be accomplished unless the positive thoughts and healthy self esteem is in the parent. And the way to accomplish healthy self esteem is through the process of being wrong. That's the whole healing process. And it is a transformation of self. So, instead of like, where I would get angry and I would, yell at someone, now I'm calm and I express myself and I want to solve a problem. So that's a transformation where I'm not my angry self, I am my solution oriented self. Or like, when I was in my anxiety and being nervous and fearful, now I have my confidence, I have courage, I have, effective, coping skills to help me. So that's my transformation of self from my anxious and nervous self, who was a stutterer, to my, expressive, communicative, patient, problem solving, solution oriented self. Transformation of self. You know what I mean? Like literally is for every behavior. My insecure self is now my confident self. My shy self is now my, confident self. I mean, wouldn't say I'm outgoing, but basically, and through accomplishing positive thoughts and a positive, effective coping skills. That actually is very important because a lot of people say, change your thoughts, but they don't say anything about the coping skills. And you need to change your coping skills to accomplish the healthy self esteem. So you need to not only have positive thoughts, but you need to have the effective coping skills, that are also positive, not negative. And the negative ineffective coping skills is worry, anger, fear, anxiety, jealousy, shame, doubt, anger, resentment, being offended, being annoyed, being stubborn. There's a lot. There is a lot. But I got to tell you that if you don't go through the transformation of self, then your kids get your coping skills. And a lot of times, what I see, and let me tell you something, I'm seeing this in my own family. People are like, I am my authentic self. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. You don't have the cure for mental illness. Debbie Jacobs does. Debbie Jacobs has the process for positive thoughts and healthy self-esteem. And with the positive, effective coping skills. You are in your ego self, under the spell of ego and the guise that you're perfect, that like that you're just that you're always right and everything is always good and like that you're perfect. That's really what the problem is. People think that they're perfect and they always do something right and they're never wrong. But if you haven't gone through the process of being wrong, you're not your authentic self. You are your ego self because being wrong is the way to kill your ego. And the problem is that people in their ego self, they think, oh, I'm so positive and everything. Yeah, but let me tell you something. The process is way more than being positive. And what you're doing is you are replacing negativity in all areas that it shows up in your behavior with positivity. But that doesn't mean that people aren't going to make you angry or you're not going to get upset, because that's why it's called your authentic self. You are authentic. It's not that you're happy all the time. Everyone goes through problems, but I'm processing from a positive perspective with positive thoughts and positive effective coping skills. And let me tell you something, this really works because I don't have negative thoughts, and if I did, I would be dead in suicide, like for real. I'm going through a very difficult time. And thank God I don't have positive thoughts. I mean, sometimes I'm like, geez, I would, I was like, I almost want some just so I can cry, maybe just so I can shoot myself. But my thoughts are not negative, and they're not creating upset and unhappiness for me. Just my circumstances are, but I can get through it because I have a very important message to get to the world. Let me tell you something. Debbie Jacobs does not need, positive thoughts, positive effective coping skills, and healthy self-esteem for myself. I mean, I did need it for my own well-being, because it's much better than depression, anxiety, and bipolar. But it is so important that I know that I need to get it to other people, to start making positive change. We have to make change in parenting, and we have to make change in mental therapy. There is an opportunity for happiness on the horizon. I had depression, anxiety, and bipolar, and I had no problem. I had no problem at all. My mind gave me, no problem. I had the green light. You want to change your thoughts, change them. That's what my mind said. You want to change your coping skills, go for it. You know what I mean? And I did, and I was like determined. I'm like, I want my freedom and happiness, in this lifetime. I wanted I was having trouble with relationships, and I wanted to have like a real, real relationship. I haven't accomplished it, but I did accomplish the cure for mental illness, the way to change positive thoughts, the way to accomplish positive thoughts and healthy self-esteem, and to totally transform parenting completely. Parenting is a disaster. It's a disaster, and it needs to be fixed. Kids have no boundaries, no protection. Kids don't even have their opinions aren't respected. They live in fear, and they get punished, and they get hit, and they get verbally abused. They get mistreated, and that ends up, mental illness, suicide, self-harm, addiction. And let me tell you something, a big problem that Debbie Jacobs discovered: parents don't know how to be wrong. Let me tell you something. I have been, going around in circles for 3 years with my brother, who cannot be wrong. He's in his ego self. He is a parent, and I say that I healed myself. I created a process for positive thoughts. I accomplished positive thoughts, my authentic self, and all he does for 3 years is call me mentally ill. All he does is say I need to get help. I'm not healthy. I'm mentally ill. He's not being objective. He's not being uh, uh, he's not being objective. He's being self-serving. He just wants to be right, and he can't be wrong. So he sooner is like, you're mentally ill, because he can't be wrong. That is a big telling problem between ego self and the beautiful authentic self, right there. And we have children that are getting diagnosed with mental illness when there is nothing wrong with them. What's wrong is their parents are in the ego self with negative thoughts and low self-esteem. And negative thoughts is not good to have for children. It is a painful childhood that a child goes through just because their parents have negative thoughts. We need to get positive thoughts into the heads of parents. It has to happen, and then let them be parents with positive thoughts, healthy self-esteem, and positive, effective coping skills. No hitting, no verbal abuse, no getting in trouble if they do something wrong. That's why they don't know what being wrong is, because they associate it with negative consequences. Traumatic, lifelong trauma. People can't be wrong. And now Debbie Jacobs, me, I have the challenge. Let me tell you something. I really do. I don't appreciate this problem that I have. You know what I mean? Like I want to be able to say, hey, we need to have positive thoughts in kids' heads, and everybody say, yes, we do, and sign up for my healing. You know, but instead, everyone's now I am on the receiving end of people not being able to be wrong, and people telling me that I'm wrong and that I'm mentally ill. Meanwhile, I did all the work. I'm writing a book. I've been living in my authentic self for 3 years. And I have people with their negative thoughts and their, and their flaws that are obstacles for me, because I want to bring healing to them for their kids, and also for mental illness, for people to live in their happiness. And I have ego in the way of Debbie Jacobs. I don't want that. I don't want that at all. I want to be able to help people get to their happiness in this lifetime, out of their ego self. I created the process to get out of ego self. It doesn't matter what you do in your life, all the healing that you do, it doesn't matter. What matters is you going through the process of being wrong, because that's the process, not only to be wrong and build self esteem, but also to correct everything that is creating upset in your life by your actions, to creating a positive outcome. And that's all that you have to do to heal yourself, to increase the happiness of your life, and to be your beautiful, authentic self. You need to, basically, I worked on myself until there was nothing wrong with me. And now people are like annoyed that I'm always right. Like, it doesn't matter who's right or wrong. When you are out of the ego self, you don't give a crap about right or wrong. Your focus is creating happiness. Isn't that nice? What if we lived in a world where people's focus was creating happiness and not right or wrong? Because you know what comes from right or wrong? Abuse, being controlling, fighting, murder, like not good things. But when you're living as your authentic self, you're in your happiness. You don't care about right and wrong. Will validate each other. You know. So this is the work that I kind of stumbled on, and I see it as a big, 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 big deal. This is an opportunity to get positive thoughts, healthy self-esteem, into humans that are living with negative thoughts and low self-esteem. I have the process. I accomplished it. I created the app to reprogram the subconscious mind. And now it's like my personal challenge to get it to other people. But I accept that challenge because I have to. We can't continue with the negative thoughts. We have to stop them and get back on track to positive thoughts. And I can't get through to ego in any way. I'm the only person with positive thoughts, and everybody else is like, in their unconsciousness, pain, and negative thoughts. And let me tell you something. I thought it would be like stirring, people's consciousness and say, okay, here, hey, pay attention. This is what I'm talking about. But there is no stirring. Everybody is like deep in their pain. You know what I mean? Like, it's not good. It really isn't good. And we need to address the situation, because there are significant, serious, negative consequences from this situation, and it's affecting our children. And mental illness and suicide is increasing in our youth. So this is actually an alarming problem, in my opinion. That's why I post on Facebook and I do these videos, because people like this needs to be addressed immediately. We cannot continue putting negative thoughts into our kids, and we cannot let people living in mental illness stay in their pain. I had mental illness. I healed myself. I'm out. I'm out of my pain. And even though my circumstances is very bad, I'm not in pain, so I can continue to try and bring attention to this situation, a situation that needs to be addressed. People don't want to live in mental illness, and people don't want to live with negative thoughts. So and now, because of my healing process on myself, and let me tell you something, my healing process, my intentions were honorable. My intention was that in my life I wanted happiness and love, and I did the work necessary, to get out of my own way. And in that process, I got my bipolar depression and anxiety out of my own way. And I didn't get the happiness and the love, but I did get the cure for mental illness and the process for positive thoughts, healthy self-esteem, and with positive, effective coping skills. And let me tell you something. That now is more important than me finding happiness or love. people getting positive thoughts back into their head is way more important. And it's my focus. And I hope, that to have success soon. It's not an easy process at all. Um, but, um, but it definitely is worth it, and people will love it. It's a great process. All right, my name is Debbie Jacobs. Thanks for joining, and have a good evening.